That you are good. I don't think we understand how great you are. We go through our lives, and for the most part, we don't think a whole lot about what you're doing or why you're doing it. And yet, you're good to us. Your grace is beyond what we could ask or imagine. Your goodness is more than we can understand. And you love us. You love us exactly the way we are. No matter how good or bad we do, no matter how good or bad we think we are, your grace is enough. So we ask for transformation in each one's lives this morning. Holy Spirit, we invite you here. We invite you here in such a way that we would leave transformed. That we won't be the same people that leave as when we walked in this morning. But this is what you want to do in our lives. We're not done with this yet. And we ask for a continued work, both in us and through us, Lord, to accomplish your kingdom and your purposes. In your name we ask these things. Amen. So there's doors all over the place. Like, I don't know if you've even been, like, how much you pay attention to your environment, but just in this room, there is 4 sets of doors, 5 sets of doors, and 2 behind me. There's also this nice one on stage that Glenn Fry put up. Isn't it pretty? That's not even here. Thanks, Zach. Zach will take the praise back to his dad for us. Have you thought about how many doors you walk by today? I mean, you walk by doors that come in and go out. You walk in and out of car doors, school doors, office doors, bedroom doors, building doors. There's doors all over the place. There's all sorts of doors. But what if we began to look at doors of more than exits and entrances? More than things or barriers that keep us either things in or keep people out. What if we looked at them as opportunities? How would our life be different because of it? For a number of years I worked at a group home, and it's not the nicest environment to work in. But there was a couple kids that had these huge opportunities in front of them. Monumental opportunities. And each one handled them differently. The first one we'll call Michael. And Mike was in a tough spot. He was charged with a crime that he may or may not have committed, but because the person he was accused against, her dad was pretty aggressive with this, and this what seemed to be a perfectly normal kid was in a group home setting pretty much through his entire high school career. But Michael had opportunities all over the place. The doors of opportunities were clearly in front of him. He recognized those doors clearly. And whenever he saw one, he opened it and he walked through it. Which is pretty crazy when you think about it. Because obstacles are one of the most difficult things that teach people to overcome. For some people, they see a door, they see an obstacle. They don't see an opportunity. And just the thought of the obstacle overwhelms them, concerns them, and what they do is they end up walking by it, or they sit there and go, how do I get around this, without even realizing the door will be open. But Michael was over to overcome those things. Not only did it through high school with straight A's, had opportunities for scholarships, had doors of opportunities for college, had doors of opportunities to go ahead and get well established in a career. He made the most out of the opportunities he was given. He saw the doors of opportunity, he recognized them, and he walked through them. There's another kid, we'll call him Joe. For whatever reason, whenever Joe saw an opportunity, a door of opportunity, he didn't know what to do with it. He had a really hard time. You could actually sit there and say, Joe, look at this opportunity. Look at this door. Why don't you walk through it? Why don't you take the chance? And for a number of reasons, probably a lot of reasons, Joe couldn't do it. Or chose not to do it, depending on your understanding of these things. Joe's path didn't go the same way. Joe went home for a weekend around Thanksgiving time, and Joe got involved in a drug deal that went bad, and Joe never came back. Each guy had opportunities, doors of opportunities to walk through. And for a number of reasons, one of them went one direction and one of them went a different direction. It was all about how they handled those doors of opportunities. Each one of us has a number of doors of opportunities in our lives. For those who have recently graduated, you're going to get ready to walk through a lot of doors. You have the opportunities before you. But they can be difficult. Opportunities can be really difficult. Because what ends up happening is for the graduate who's ready to go forward, they have to be more intentional about their decision making. Things just don't happen as they seem to once did. For the parent or the adult, there are some doors of opportunities with your kids that you just don't want to knock on. Because you realize there might be things there that you don't want to deal with. They may be a little too hard for you, they may be too difficult. And sometimes it's just easier to be numb and not think about those things. For those who are employed or employers, you have opportunities for raises and promotions and business opportunities. Man, there's a risk involved, isn't there? I mean, if you think about it, for each one of us who are adults here, as much as we love talking about doors of opportunity and things that we have the ability to step in and step out of, step into, there's a lot of risk. Because once you walk through this door, things may not be the same again. And it may be really good, or you may walk into a world of difficulty, a world of hurt, a world of tough things. But it doesn't mean that the opportunity is not there. What I want to challenge you to do this morning is to recognize the opportunities behind you. And then also recognize the opportunities before you. The world we live in is full of doors of opportunities. But do we even recognize them? How many doors do we pass by on a regular basis? Too busy? Too consumed with other things? Too distracted? We walk by these doors of opportunity probably as much as you walk through physical doors on a regular basis. Doors to offices, doors to classrooms. And seldom do we go through all the opportunities, go through all the doors of opportunity that God's entrusted us with. But we can. If we begin to think of doors of opportunity as more than just exits and entrances, if we begin to think of them as gateways to what God has for us, God has entrusted to us, then our world can be tragically different, dramatically different. It can be transformed. But we have to begin by recognizing that these doors are there. The Apostle Paul, he understood these doors of opportunities. He got it. He got it better than I did. See, when I see lots of doors of opportunity, sometimes I get overwhelmed. It's just too much for me. I think about all the what ifs, and kind of like Alyssa when she's talking about being a planner. She thinks 5 steps ahead. That's what I think. That's how I think. The problem is I come to a door like this and I'm going, there's some good things there, but I don't know. What if? What if this goes wrong? What if this goes south? What if this goes right? What if I jump on this opportunity and it's everything that God promised it to be? Then what do? What does that look like? There's lots of different things that come up with those things. But Paul got it. Even behind a prison, so to speak, he was under house arrest. Paul recognized there was doors of opportunity in front of him. We're going to be in Colossians chapter 4 this morning. So in Colossians chapter 4, the Apostle Paul is under house arrest. But he still begins to see these opportunities. And he writes to the church in Colossae. That's why it's called Colossians. And in the first 2 verses, he talks about how we should treat each other, how he wants the people to treat each other. He talks about the things they should be devoted to. He says, devote yourself to prayer. Keep love with a good attitude of thanksgiving. But he recognizes the door, even behind this prison setup, he recognizes there's doors of opportunity. Verse 3, he makes this request. Praying at the same time for us as well, that God will open up to us the door for his word, so that we may speak forth the mystery of Christ for which I have also been in prison, that I may make it clear in the way that I ought to speak. See, even in this difficult situation and circumstance, Paul recognizes there's an opportunity here. There's an opportunity for the gospel to go forth. Now, I'm not sure what things come to mind when you think about the gospel. Some of us think about the Sunday school environment, the nice little church entrances. Oh yeah, the gospel is good news. And it is. No way about it. The gospel is good news. But it's also transformational news. Because the life, death, and resurrection of Jesus Christ changes people. And Paul says, there's this opportunity in front of me, even in this poor environment for me to share the gospel with people. The doors are open. He said, pray that the doors will stay open. Pray that the doors will stay open. He recognized this. He recognized there was a spiritual battle going on. So just because we begin to recognize that the door is there doesn't necessarily mean it's open. When was the last time you or I prayed for doors to be open? And not just the doors for promotion, the doors for a raise, the doors for advancing, the doors to be on a starter, on a team. Not just the door to get my license. But when was the last time you prayed for doors to be open to the gospel? It begins to change things. Does it even cross our minds? Think about this for a second. There was probably, I'm guessing, if there's about 10 doors in this room, my gut is that you passed at least 20 doors on your way to church this morning. Minimum. Maybe as many as 50. And I know you're like, well, this is kind of a set of doors, Rick. I'm not sure that counts as one or two. Just let that go for a second. So that's what I did. I'm going, is that 2 doors? Is that 1 door? How's it work? Just stay with me. What if each one of those doors represented a person who was lost? And you just walked by. You drove by. Day after day after day. Maybe you didn't recognize it. Maybe the cost was too high. Here's what I know about myself. And I'm pretty sure you guys are all going to boo me with this, but that's okay. I am a die-hard New England Patriots fan. And I can tell you this, if someone said to me, hey Rick, you're going to pass 50 doors today, and one of them is going to have tickets to New England Patriots, I can guarantee I'm knocking on all of them. I'm going to try to see which one's unlocked. I mean, if I have a hunch that something's behind there, and it's locked, I'm getting a pry bar out. How much more important is the message of the gospel? How much more important is the message of Jesus Christ? We don't often see doors of opportunity. We're blinded, we're consumed with other things, we're distracted. But what if we did? How much different would our world be? How much different would the environment that we live in be? We've been entrusted with doors on our journey, doors of opportunity, to impact people's lives. You've been entrusted with that privilege. I've been entrusted with that privilege. We need to make the most out of those opportunities, and at least check to see if they're locked. There's too much at stake. If I'm that passionate about Patriots tickets, then I'm going to check every door. How much more passionate should Jesus Christ be? Eternity is in the balance. As I said, I'm a Patriots fan. I'm not necessarily a diehard Eagles fan. The Eagles won the Super Bowl this year. You guys look at it as a win. I look at it as a loss, but it's okay. I was at a youth conference a couple months ago, and the speaker got up there. We're in Lancaster. The speaker got up there and he said, "I got to know if there are any New England Patriots fans in there." I was the only one, right here. And everyone looked at me, looked like I was an idiot. It's okay, I'm used to it. And he's like, "I got a mug for you." So I get up there and get a mug. He's like, "I'm giving you this mug because you guys didn't win anything this year." I can tell you one thing about the Eagles, though. When Doug Peterson, made the call in the preseason to see if Nick Foles would come out of retirement, he saw a door of opportunity that no one else did. Now, I don't know why no one else saw it, because the dude's a good quarterback. Be the Patriots. But here's what I want you to understand. Nobody else saw that opportunity. No one else tried to get him to come out of retirement. But Nick Foles chose to do that. Why? Because Peterson knocked. And we all know what happened to the Super Bowl this year. It's imperative that we begin to walk by the doors. We stop walking by the doors of opportunity in front of us. Things need to change. Eternity's in the balance. Each door that we are in contact with, they represent people we can encourage. They represent people that we can serve. They represent people that need Jesus. And we as followers of Christ have that hope. You guys who are graduating, the doors of opportunity are so much in front of you, it's not even funny. Which ones are you going to knock on? Do you see them? Do you recognize them as opportunities that Christ has entrusted you with? Or do you see them as distractions? Things that can get you off track. So in Colossians chapter 4, Paul encourages the believers there. He says, recognize the opportunities in front of you. And then he tells them what to do with those opportunities. Colossians chapter 4, verses 5 and 6. It says, conduct yourself with wisdom toward outsiders, making the most of every opportunity. Let your speech always be with grace, as though seasoned with salt, so that you will know how you should respond to each person. He says, be wise. Conduct yourself with wisdom. He uses the whole phrase, conduct yourself, because he understands that wisdom, or being full of wisdom, is a lifestyle. It's not something that comes and goes. It's not like, hey, I'm going to be wise today, and tomorrow I'm not going to be so wise. And yes, that stuff happens. But he's telling the followers in Colossae, he says, conduct yourselves with this thing, with wisdom. So what does it mean to be wise? Well, when I break it down for teenagers, a lot of times what I just say to them is, being wise is not just knowing what to do, it's knowing why to do it and how it's going to work afterwards. But beyond that, Scripture teaches us that wisdom includes humility. That wisdom includes recognizing that you don't have it all together. Wisdom includes recognizing that God's put people in place in your life to help you, to encourage you. I was listening to a John Piper sermon earlier this week. He was talking to a college group, and he says to them, a lot of people associate college education with wisdom. He goes, wisdom is not just getting more grades, getting more degrees, going to class. Wisdom includes humility. Scripture tells us that the fear of the Lord, or relationship with God, is the beginning of wisdom. So if you're going along your life and you're seeing these opportunities, these doors of opportunity in front of you, and you're going, what do I do with this? I don't know. Maybe it begins with your walk with Jesus. Because if you don't know Him, you're not going to know what to do with the opportunities He's placed in your life. Maybe that's where it's got to start for you. But maybe you do know Jesus. But for whatever reason, you don't talk to Him a whole lot. You're not consulting Him about the things in your life, about the decisions He's entrusted you with. Or maybe you're that diehard Christian that's on their knees every day going, tell me what I'm supposed to do today. I don't know where you're at this morning. I can tell you this. Scripture is clear. Conduct yourself with wisdom. Wisdom includes a relationship with God, and wisdom includes humility. If those two things aren't evident in your life, you're going to be overwhelmed with the opportunities that Christ has placed with you. You're not going to know what to do with it. And one of two things will happen. You'll either run away from God or you'll run toward Him. So first, it begins with recognizing the opportunities He's given us. And second, we need to be wise with those opportunities. He gives another element there on how to handle them. He says, let your speech always be with grace, as a seasoned with salt, so you know how to respond to each person. Other translations use the phrase full of salt, full of grace. This is what I found to be true. When I'm interacting with people, if my speech isn't full of grace, things usually don't go that well. I get irritated, I get angry, just like everybody else does. But here's the thing. Are our conversations full of grace? Are they full of it? Because when we recognize the doors of opportunity in front of us, we begin to make the most of those opportunities, conducting ourselves with wisdom, watching our conversation, making sure our conversations are full of grace, people will begin to see Jesus. They won't see Rick anymore. They will see Jesus. And they will not be able to help themselves from beginning to ask questions about that. What's different? What is this deal? Because I disrespected you, Rick, and yet you're extending grace to me. Or I was rude, you're extending grace to me. I was disrespectful. I did, but then you didn't do. And I'm not up here, some of you guys know me pretty well. Teenagers say, Rick is not necessarily full of grace. I get that, okay? I'm not trying to be a hypocrite here. I just recognize that if I got to work on it, everyone else probably does too. Maybe you're not. But for the most part, most of us need to begin to season our conversations with salt. Season, thorough. What would happen if we did that? What would happen if we exchanged our sarcasm for words of encouragement? What would happen if we exchanged our words of frustration for blessing? Would that not change our opportunities? So we come up to a door and we see a person, or we see a situation, we begin to speak truth in that thing. We begin to be full of grace. We knock on the door, we recognize what's happening there. We begin to act out the way that Jesus would act. Live the way Jesus lived. Say the things that Jesus would say. The Holy Spirit takes control of our lives and begins to overflow into our conversations. I can tell you for a fact that when you walk through that door full of grace, conducting yourself in wisdom, making the most of the opportunity, things will not be the same. God is too big to let us go forward and allow us to stay the same. Is that always the case? Probably not. But I can tell you that every time a step happens, we take a step toward Him and step away from ourselves. Because He's good. Because He has a purpose and a plan in all these things. He desires us to be a part of it. The whole idea of salt here is preserving. Right? Meat goes bad. In the old days, meat went bad if it wasn't refrigerated. They salted it. They preserved it. They got it away from the corruption, from the sickness, from the disease, from the germs. Are we preserving our conversations? Keeping junk out of them? Are we adding season to those things? Are we making them better? Are we adding flavor? All those things roll into this. My gut is that if we begin to do this and live this way, it becomes contagious. I read a story about this guy named Scott Harrison. And Scott was a nightclub bouncer, knew Christ when he was younger, kind of fell away from the Lord through some traumatic experiences and difficulties. His mom passed away. And so he was running nightclub parties, bouncing things, and making lots of money. And even this depraved state that he was in, God started working on his heart. He showed him a door of opportunity. Because the more money Scott made, the worse he felt. His emptiness just kind of grew. So kind of on a whim, he got on a mercy ship and went to Liberia and documented what was happening there. These guys were having these surgeries, were performing surgery on these people who had these massive tumors that reshaped their heads and their faces. And, they were removing these tumors. And Scott found out that the reason for this was because they were drinking polluted water. Dirty water. That's all they had. In fact, he brought a sample of the water back to a lab in New York. And when he realized, what the lab told him was that this water has so many parasites in it that it looks alive. And that's what these people were drinking. And God began to do something in Scott's heart. And through a series of events and decisions and steps of faith, doors of opportunity, Scott found this organization called Charity Water. And I don't know exactly his business model. You guys are business gurus. I don't know how he does it. But he gives 100% of the donations toward the fund. So he doesn't get a salary off of this, which I think is pretty cool. But part of the way he raises money is that he encourages people to give away their birthday. So he'd say, hey, Rick, what do you want for your birthday? Instead of me saying a gift card or, I don't know, an Xbox or whatever, I say, give it to Charity Water. So the average person raises $770. Over $9 billion has been given. Over 8 million people, get the numbers right? Yep. 8 million people in 26 different countries have water now. Because Scott saw a door of opportunity and took it. Even in a messed up, depraved state, Scott saw an opportunity and took it. How much more would happen in Quakertown, Emmaus, and Coopersburg, wherever you're from, if followers of Christ open these doors of opportunity and wealth? As the praise team comes up, I just want to encourage you to begin to think about that. Are your conversations full of grace? Do you conduct yourself with wisdom? Do you recognize the doors of opportunity that Christ has entrusted you with? Don't get me wrong, this isn't random chance here. These doors are in your path for a reason and a purpose. What do you do with them? Will you continue to be distracted by other things? Will you begin to see if they're locked, check on them, recognize God?